Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Hector and Mike Experience, Common Sense in an Uncommon World. And Mike, there is a lot of uncommon or not lack of common sense or whatever you want to call it, chaos, a lot of turbulence happening over right now in Washington, D.C. The I guess the business of the people is been kind of on a standstill right now, as right now the House is still trying to find a leader, a speaker per se, and I think you may be next in the running for speakership there.
I'm coming to you. That's why my background is blurred, because I'm coming to you from the secret hideaway in the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., otherwise known as the Metro. Uh, yeah, it's maybe what they ought to do is just a suggestion on conflict resolution. Since you can't decide who you want, decide who you don't want, and then do it by process of elimination. So I think we could say they don't want Jim Jordan because he just lost his second vote. They didn't want Steve Scalise. They didn't want Kevin, which was the stupidest thing of all that they decided. I don't think they'd want Matt Gaetz. I don't think they'd want Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't think they'd want Lorena Bobbitt from Colorado, or Lorraine Bobbitt, whatever her name is. Um, so, we've eliminated six. So now they're down at, another 214 they can choose from. So, let's eliminate, just take the McConnell factor into account. So eliminate everybody under 78 or something like that. That probably takes it from 214 down to three. Just kidding. But maybe that's what they are, because nothing else is working right now. That's the problem is, Matt Gaetz decided he's going to make his big play to run for governor of Florida in 2026 and goes after Kevin McCarthy for personal reasons because he didn't like that Kevin didn't stand with him on, issues regarding his character. And so he uses the parliamentary rule that they put in place to take him down, but there was no plan B. And,
So
plan
I think
B.
I think that's important. I think for especially for a lot of people who are either watching or viewing or listening is so this entire process. So we've got Kevin McCarthy from California was a Speaker of the House, and in being Speaker of the House, he was basically the one who presided over legislation or helped move legislation through the House. Said,
Mhm.
okay, here's what we're going to deal with. Here are the different committee chairs. And obviously working with the Senate to try to get whether it's a budget or other pieces of legislation out. So as you were indicating, and I'll kind of let you take it on from here. You got Matt Gaetz, who, as Kevin McCarthy said, he has a personal vendetta against him. Matt Gaetz against Kevin McCarthy, and Matt Gaetz goes out and uses a parliamentary procedure to take out Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. And part of the reason, Mike, is because right now you could have. I mean, it's such a tight number of Republicans and Democrats in the House that you just need a few Republicans to kind of basically take out your leader.
All you need
And
is
so
six. Yeah.
all you need
All
is
you need
six.
is six people pissed off at you for one reason or another, or just because they want to get their name in the news, and you bring everything to a grinding halt. And, congratulations, Matt, mission accomplished. And that's exactly what's happened. So while there's the issue of Israel, the issue of Hamas, the issue of Ukraine, the issue of funding, federal funding for disaster relief for the disasters that have happened, um, economic things that need to be dealt with, something that's not on the table right now, but probably will be in the next 30 days. The price of your heating oil, the price of your gasoline going through the roof because of what's happening in the Middle East and our dependence on foreign oil. Um, all of that, by the way, I didn't even mention the budget, which they passed a continuing resolution. The budget, which ends on November 17th in about a month. All of those things are pretty significant things that affect everybody's everyday life, some more than others. And without a speaker, they can't move legislation, they can't do hearings. That it comes to a standstill. And the Senate's no picnic, but at least they're meeting, and at least they're able to move forward. in all of this, and one of the things I laugh at is because the Republicans clearly have a talking point sheet that says they blame the Democrats for this gridlock. And I don't know who told them to say that, but whoever did, they should not listen to them anymore because it's a joke. Um, you're blaming the Democrats because they stuck together. And you got a bunch of people on our side, the Republican side, that aren't sticking together, that have their own vendettas, their own personal things, their own, all about me thing. Right now, quite honestly, after what Matt Gaetz did with Kevin McCarthy today, Steve Scalise should be the Speaker of the House. He won the majority of the vote. Um, he is perfectly qualified. He is a conservative. He is someone that can move things. He's someone that's very well respected. He's tested. He's tough. But after he won the conference vote within the Republicans, instead of coalescing, which is what they always do, they sniped him. And it was like little backstabbing things, even to the point where people were saying, well, he's got blood cancer and that's a tough thing to fight, which, by the way, is a total insult to anybody that's ever had cancer to say you're not qualified to do a job because you have cancer. That's just outrageous. But no, what they decided to do was, well, our guy didn't win, so we're going to snipe at him. And that's what Jordan's people did, is they sniped at him. He said, and rightfully so, I think, hey, you know what? You guys want to play games? I'm here to get something done. I'm not going to play games. And so now Jordan's trying to do it. First vote, he got X number of votes. Second vote, he got two less. So, before there were 20 that voted against him. Now there's the second one that just happened. There were 22 that voted against him. It's certainly not going in the right direction. There's no end in sight to any of this nonsense.
Well, here's what happens is when you don't have a Speaker of the House, then you really, you don't have a functioning House. You need a Speaker of the House to be able to have this functioning House. And so, as they're going through this process of trying to find a Speaker, nothing's happening. And I think you said it correct. You said it right, that there is a lot of pending legislation. It's we find it funny, and you and I talked about this the other day, where you've got the Senate, which is considered the upper house, but the Senate is acting like the adults in the room. Yet you've got a guy who's walking around the Senate in hoodies and shorts, and they're the adults in the room, and
They're actually the senior citizens in the room with their average age
yeah.
over in the Senate. But I think with the next thing they're going to probably try and figure out is how to take um, what's his name, McHenry, who's the acting speaker, and make it more than just a ministerial thing where basically he's presiding over the election of a new speaker is what he's doing now, and that's all he's doing, and say, well, since we can't come to a conclusion or a resolution of this, let's give him a little more power to get the trains moving a little bit, which is fine. I think that's good short term. Long term, it's horrible. Go out next year and try and explain why Republicans should keep control of the House of Representatives when you can't figure out who the hell your leader is. As a Republican, I'm embarrassed and ashamed. You can't figure that. You've been given that by the people of this country by a narrow margin, but you've been given that, and you can't figure that out. And you let one small group of people, upset the apple cart, take someone out who's not only a policy leader, but from a political standpoint, a fundraising machine that is going to help you keep the House in 2024.
Well,
And you
that's the
take him
thing.
out
That's
because you
that's
got a
a very
vendetta.
Yeah, that's the issue that I have is you've got an individual who's raising money, who's gone out there and recruited candidates. You want to be upset with them, go ahead and let them finish up this cycle, and then you can change your manager. But at the same time, it's this manager that you've got, which is Kevin McCarthy. The guy has just been going out there and just doing everything he's been told. You want it. He goes and holds fundraising events, can raise a candidate 250,
Right.
$400,000, goes out there and hits up all these businesses, hits up individuals, just to try to keep control of the house. And you're right, you've been given this gift of being able to be in charge of control of the House, and now we're in a session where we can't get the business of the House even operating right now.
And there's a lot of business to be done. Usually it's just domestic economic, and certainly that's a huge one that's going to continue. But, now we have the flashpoint in Israel with what happened there. You've got, and here's what's happening. This is the aggravating part to me as a Republican, why I have to take blood pressure medicine. While all of this is going on our side, where there's this backstabbing, nitpicking, people like Matt Gaetz controlling the Republican agenda right now. On the other side, you got Joe Biden going to court every day. Not Donald Trump, but not Joe Biden. I'm sorry, Hunter Biden going to court every day. You got, Tlaib and some of the other progressives talking about Israel being at fault over what's happened, and not condemning Hamas and all of this other kind of stuff. Things that I think probably, if people were paying attention, would create outrage. But instead of focusing on that, everybody has this, pardon my French, shit show that they're doing in the House. And that takes away from all of these other things that are happening, and like we said, I mean, the other one that's not on the table, that's going to be on the table, is because we're the clean energy country, because we're the climate change country, because we want to make everybody electric with the plugging cords and everything else, and none of that can happen right now. We still have to rely on fossil fuels. Our energy supply at home has diminished considerably. We're no longer energy independent the way we were in the Trump administration. And so now we have to go to people who are our enemies in the war on terrorism and get oil from them to keep everything running. And the Republicans are not in a position to say anything or do anything about that because they can't figure out who's in charge. And I think that is something that not only hurts today, but has real potential of hurting them down the road. That's my feeling anyway. And it's just frustrating.
Well, it's a similar feeling, I think, to a lot of other party insiders. I mean, if you're on the Democratic side, you're rejoicing at this. You're rejoicing at the votes that people are having to make for individuals. You're rejoicing at this chaos, and they are out there, and rightfully so. They're out there, talking to the media, saying, "Look at this clown show that is happening," as they put it. And if they can't even figure out who they want speaker, then what makes you believe that they should be running this side of government?
I tell you what, the end of this month, actually the end of September 30th, was the Federal Election Commission filing for everybody's donations, contributions, expenditures for the national, for president. I haven't seen them, but I tell you, on Biden-Harris 24, they should put in an in-kind contribution from Matt Gaetz, because he has handed the Biden-Harris administration a wonderful gift that money can't buy. And probably he should be listed as an in-kind contributor to the. I'm sure he's getting a Christmas card from Joe Biden. There's no doubt about it. And it's. I think Republicans are in a really tough spot right now, that they can't get their act together, and they really, time is ticking, and people are watching. And I think really what happens is most people don't pay attention to it. They just know that it's screwed up.
Yeah.
And if you can't get your own house in order, why as a voter would I trust you to help me get my house in order? I wouldn't.
Yep.
And so that's where they put themselves. And unlike what they want to say, which is the Democrats are complicit in this, well, I would expect Democrats to vote for a Democrat for Speaker. I mean, why would you not? You got to get your house in order before you're going to get any of them to come over and help.
Mhm.
So,
Well, as more of these votes come in, and as more of this tide starts turning one way or another, we'll make sure to update everyone. And
I just got to say, I'm sorry, but I just got to say this. I mean, who the hell would ever have thought it's easier to elect a pope than the Speaker of the House? I mean, electing the Pope is, I've been inside those meetings, okay? It's tough. They come in with the lentils and everything else, and you're sitting there and you're waiting, and then there's this guy who did this and this guy who did that. They go through a whole bunch of ballots, and it's tough. But somehow they're able to elect the Pope easier than we're able to elect the Speaker of the House. There's something wrong with that. I'm waiting for the white smoke to come out of the Capitol.
Well, time will tell, and hopefully everything can get resolved in this week, which I seriously doubt. But
I doubt it too.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Great
All
talking
right,
to you
take
about
care.
this topic.